Hey, everybody. Welcome to Centered the Podcast. I'm your host, Leslie Braverman, and I'm sharing holistic content to reconnect you to your most centered self, that place within you that is energized and knowing, uplifted, and balanced beyond the chaos and the demands of life. I offered my perspective from my background as a scientist and a movement specialist, a yogi, and a mom with over 20 years of guiding clients on a transformational journey from healing back pain to upleveling capacity. And this really just happens kind of naturally when you start to get into your centered self, when you become the portal of possibility. I want to share with you today a little bit about my awakening to my soul intelligence. So often it's known as a spiritual awakening. And when we start to change the level of awareness and consciousness that we have, magical things start to happen. So my experience happened in 2020. I was sitting in my bedroom and I received this image of me on a hydraulic jack being lifted off of the earth, going up, 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 up. And I had one hand up like a fist, and it was breaking through layers of glass. And the glass was just shattering around me. And I just kept going up and up and up out of the cosmos. And I saw at first, nebulas and stars that I recognized. And I just kept going beyond that out into the unknown. And there was this feeling of massive expansion and deep connection. And it was all me. It was all happening within me in a vision. And I later learned that this was my soul's communication, my higher self communication, that I had the ability at this level of awareness and consciousness to connect to the astral plane, to be able to do astral travel. But I didn't know what any of this was. I didn't have the language for it. I hadn't learned it. And so I had to really take a deep dive into blending this level of awareness and consciousness with the matter, the life, the physicality that I am. And so I spent 2020 and even all through now, this is, when I'm recording this is 2025, these last 5 years in the spiritual gym, really like honing my skills, learning how to communicate this, learning how to guide and teach it. And as I've been doing this these last 5 years, bringing this awareness of our spirituality, ourselves as energy, and knowing that we are more than the physicality and this life that we can have by interacting and interweaving our spirituality, our energetic bodies into the physical experience, the richer and more miraculous life becomes and has become for my clients as well. So I want to share a little bit today about how to connect with the soul. It's super important to know that you have a soul, and your soul is divine intelligence. Your soul doesn't have a gender, but I'm going to refer to the soul today as she. And the more time your soul spends with you, the more kind of the voice of your soul will mimic your voice. So it will sound like your soul is you and your soul is you. You are always expressing your soul, except when you're expressing your patterns and limiting beliefs and inner critic, right? So just discerning the difference between the personality and the soul can sometimes be helpful. And your soul will never be loud, but your habits and your patterns and your inner critic will. So really knowing that the kind of more harsh parts of the personality or the shoulds or the ways that you maybe historically spoke to yourself or were spoken to as a child, or when you were being coached by someone who also had a harsh mentality, your soul will never talk to you like that. She'll always be your biggest fan, your biggest supporter, your best coach ever. And so as you start to learn to hear that voice within you, it can be really helpful to see how your soul speaks to you. And there's a language for this. So, your soul is always working with you through your body and your mind. And the body mind connection is something that has been explored for a long, long time, 70s, maybe even earlier. And what we've kind of learned is that we have a group of intuitive senses that the soul uses as language. And I want to talk through this language a little bit so you can feel really confident when you are being directed by your soul versus when you're being directed by old limiting beliefs, patterns, habits, inner critic, that sort of thing. So, one of the ways that you can receive information from your soul is through images. Just like I did that image that I received punching through all that glass. That glass represented veils of ignorance, or punching through the veil of into this idea of greater expansion, greater wisdom and knowledge, innate wisdom, and oneness consciousness. And this is known as clairvoyance. Sometimes you can receive like a still image. Sometimes you'll receive a little movie clip. Sometimes you'll receive like a cartoon. And so people who have clairvoyance as one of their main ways that their soul communicates with them know what I'm talking about right now. If you don't, then this is not the way you're receiving information. And I should just take like a pause and say, we all have this ability. This is not unique to me. And it's something that we're born with. We're born with all of the clair senses, and these intuitive senses get shut down in early life because we don't always know what to do with them. We don't know how to handle them. Our parents don't know how to help us. And sometimes they can feel frightening to children. And so we as adults now have the capacity to handle what we're being shown. And your soul will never show you more than you can handle. But your soul will also ask you to up level by showing you things in your path and the direction set forth. When your soul came in and wanted to incarnate, she had a very specific plan with checkpoints. And, it's like a basic outline of events that are going to happen, people you're going to meet, directions you're going to go. And it's very exciting to know about this. It really leads to great and like awesome outcomes, and sometimes not so awesome, but that's also part of the journey, right? So, understanding how you're receiving this information, a second way can be through hearing. And this is why it's so important to know the difference between your soul's communication and your personality's, limiting beliefs when those come up. And this is clairaudience. And sometimes you can hear stuff like a line from a song or a line from a movie, and it's just like so perfectly timed to give you information or make you laugh, to pull you out of a slump, or to show you support. This is your soul using this language to help you and connect with you. A third way is through feeling and sensing. And you can feel like tingles, goosebumps. You can feel waves of heat or coolness. You can feel this sense of just expansion or the sense of contraction. Those are incredibly powerful ways of knowing what's coming up. Contraction can be used to say no. Contraction is used as a way to show a slip in a boundary. An expansion is a hell yes, keep going. This is awesome. And so we're meant to feel this full range of feelings. And so having the awareness of clairsentience can be really helpful for that. And then another way is this gut feeling or this knowing. And a lot of us have that, and we use it at various times in our lives, in our day, in our experiences. And this is your claircognizance. And it's often known as mother's wisdom, right? And we just kind of know when something's right, know when something's wrong. And that's why we have this saying of trust your gut. And so just in general, like we'll do like a little bit of science here because I really do want to blend the science and the mysticism. We're more than the physical body, right? We have this maybe 10 plus feet outside of us that is also our body, known as our energetic field, our auric field. or it's sometimes known as the subtle bodies. And these are layers of us that are outside of us and also interconnected within us, so that we're constantly receiving and exchanging information from this field of energy around us as this physicality. There are very specific connection points within the body and these in this energetic field that we have. And the energetic field is always changing its frequency, its energy signature based on our experiences. And our experiences are interpreted in the mind. And at the same time, we're constantly receiving information from our innate wisdom, our higher self, our soul. And these are two different aspects of us. The higher self is not higher than us, it's not outside of us, this is all within us. But it's known as the higher self because it is a higher frequency than our physical matter. And it does hold the information. Kind of like, I think of it like a ship captain is the higher self and the first mate is the soul. So the first mate's job is really to the day to day, get you where you need to go on the path you need to be on. And then the captain, the higher self, is really in charge of like the overall plan, what the overarching themes are right now, what direction you're headed. Are you on a long winding road? Are you on, a straight climb up a mountain? Another way you could say this, are you in the rapids? Are you in the shallows and drifting along? And we all go through these different phases of our life, and it can be so helpful to be confident in our connection to this innate wisdom. So some of this innate wisdom is coming through the gut. One of my teachers, Dr. Sue Morter, talks about how we are able to receive over 11 million bits of information every second, but our awareness is limited to only about 40 bits of this information. So imagine what can happen in our reality if we can expand our awareness to start receiving consciously more of this information that's meant just for us, right? This is really coming in from the higher aspects of us that have and are able to hold more information about our life path. So the way that we connect to this is important because it needs to be done consciously and repetitively, right? We know enough about neuroplasticity to know that when we're creating new pathways, when we're starting new habits, we need repetition and we need intention and we need like a method basically that we can reach for every time. And we serve ourselves by creating space to check in with our soul for this example, this method. And with the neuroplasticity piece, neuroadaptability, what we're doing at the level of the brain is taking the neurons that compose the brain and creating new pathways by taking the neurons, and we basically fuse them together with other ones that we have this great rule that is known as neurons that fire together, wire together. This is the Hebbian rule. And once those neurons fire together, it takes about 60 days, we have a pathway of more ease. So if you're interested in intentionally connecting with your soul, I'm asking you basically to form a practice. So you want to pick a time of day that you can commit to. Early in the morning is easiest. Early or right before bed is easiest. These are two times when the brain activity is really calm. And it's much easier to hear your soul wisdom confidently when you're calm. That said, your soul is constantly communicating with you. But when we're forming these pathways and we want to create commitment and confidence in what we're doing, it can be really helpful to use this hack of creating quiet space in the morning or evening to just have a soul check-in. And again, your soul will never be loud, but your soul will be very consistent. And what we're going to do in this method is just say consciously to our soul, I'm ready to consciously connect with you. Show me the ways that I have the best way of understanding what you're saying. And your soul's either going to show you an image or have a sound, or you'll have a feeling or a knowing, right? The four main clear senses. I should say we have others as well. They're just not that useful in this exercise. They're actually, I've got some funny stories about them I can tell you at some point, but they're stuff like scent and taste. So that's not going to work right now. So there's a couple of words we can use that I like to use to just kind of check in. And you can come back to this place in the podcast to do this during a quiet time with your soul. And perhaps you want to grab a journal, because writing can be a really nice way to consciously connect with your soul. And this idea of stream of consciousness will help as well. So you can write down the ways that you're receiving information. You can even write the question, what is my best method for receiving information from my soul with confidence and clarity? And then your soul can answer you through writing. She'll just stream the answer. She may say images, sound, writing, knowing. So here's a couple of prompts to then also ask her if you're not getting the information you want. You can just listen to my voice and see what the response is in your mind body connection when I say the following words: bird, music, ocean, friendship. And as all these ideas are turned into sound, images, feelings, or knowings, you're getting a sense of what the more dominant clear sense is for you, so that you can have some confidence in connecting with your soul and starting to know how to bridge your energetic self, your more mystical self, with your more physical self. So have some fun with that. Create some quiet, conscious connection with your soul and see what you can learn about you. You are the portal of possibility. See you next time. And if that episode resonated with you and you'd like to go deeper into your healing journey, check out my newly released book, Centered: The Art of Living from Within, now available on Amazon. Or head over to centeredbyleslie.com to schedule a no-cost strategy session for wellness coaching, Ayurvedic therapies and herbal consults, back pain healing, and yoga. I'm looking forward to working with you.